The Bitcoin bear is going to have the last laugh, as we've just seen the bulls attempt to push the price over the previous all-time high and only made it by a couple of $1,000s. And over the last 24 hours, we've seen a flash crash now to $8,200 on Binance.us by an institutional investor's bug in their trading algorithm. So in this video, we're going to look at what's going on with Bitcoin, what we could expect in the coming days to weeks, and then also some of the altcoins which are showing some strength, some real pumpability during this period of Bitcoin's weakness as it falls back under its old all-time high, which is seen by many as a weak sign, at least in the short term. Before we dive in, make sure you've pumped up those YouTube algorithm numbers down below, likes, subscribes, hit bell notification icon and all so you can see this content come up in your feed. I know many of you are watching and not subscribed. How dare you? Moving on, let's have a look at what's going on with Bitcoin and the alts for today. So we have the institutional investor that has bugged out, dropped the price down to $8,200 on Binance.us. The rest of the exchanges have been safe. If you did manage to score some Bitcoin, let us know in the comments down below. Go down and check out anyone who managed to get anything under $60,000 in this period for this brief moment. If you got it under 20, maybe don't tell anyone. That's a pretty good score. But going back to Bitcoin, at the moment, I think this is a short-term top. We've seen 49 days from the July low to the September top. So that gives us a bit of an idea of what we could expect moving forward. And previously from our September low, we got a high of about 29 days. So this could be an intermediate top. Maybe we have a little bit more of an attempt at another top, but it does seem due for a correction, especially in the shorter term cycles. And that's basically what I'm waiting for here. The other thing to note is what's going on with Bitcoin that looks similar to the past. After February, we had a top in Feb, breaks out in March, and then falls back under it pretty quickly. So we got the new top in April, it breaks out, attempts it again, and then falls back under pretty quickly. So it's not anything new in the market. It's just a potentially short-term bearish signal, and we just need some time to recuperate the energy in the market. As for the recent rise from September, it brings us out at around 69.2%. So eventually, we're due to get a correction. When is the dip that we're waiting for to buy? When's that tasty dip? Well, next thing I like to look at is my 50% levels, as we always do. That comes in around 53,000, which also lines up with some of the support levels. It also lines up pretty well with the previous all-time high. So this isn't anything new in the Bitcoin market. We saw it happen again before we got the dump. So this was back in early September. The market peaked out in August. We had a fake out and then a dump. So we had this little bit of a peak out in mid-October, couple of days up, and then we got the dump underneath. So what I'm looking for here for short-term strength is to get back above the old all-time high and begin to consolidate. Otherwise, this is probably going to go on maybe a shorter period than what we saw from early September to late September. So if you want to get a bit of an idea of where to buy this next big dip, that's what I would be looking for. But while this is going on, we have plenty of news coming out, especially in the way of Bitcoin futures ETFs. The SEC clears Van Eck to launch Bitcoin futures ETF next week. We also have Valkyrie secures go-ahead for Bitcoin futures ETF. So on the back of all of this big news around new ETFs, futures ETFs coming out, the Bitcoin price is not moving. That could be a problem for the short term until we begin to regain some more strength. The other thing here is Grayscale. So Grayscale is purchasing more of its own GBTC shares. Crypto investment firm Digital Currency Group has bought 388 million worth of GBTC shares as of October 19th. So they're increasing how much they can buy of these shares from 750 million to 1 billion. So at first you're like, well, this sounds like great news. DCG, Digital Currency Group, is buying these shares, which means bullish and only bullish. But in the short term, DCG, which owns Grayscale, is helping to supply some demand. So they're essentially just buying back their own shares like we see happen in the stock market, where a company will have some profits and they'll go back and buy up some more shares to increase the price. Because at the moment, the Grayscale Trust, the GBTC, is trading at a 20% discount. They're trying to fix this problem by getting an ETF. but they want to make it a spot ETF so that when you want to convert it, you're actually going to get some Bitcoin. That's why they're buying all of this Bitcoin up. Whereas the futures ETFs that we see, you don't get Bitcoin. You basically just get the option to trade the volatility of Bitcoin. So the SEC hasn't yet expressed its intent to let spot-based ETFs go live. So in the short term, we definitely want to see this discount reduce and bring some strength back into Bitcoin, because this might have to do with the institutional investors' demand for the product. So if they don't have the demand, especially as being the biggest company to hold Bitcoin shares, we definitely want to see some more institutions coming back to this. Now onto the altcoins, which have had a pump while Bitcoin has had its flash crash and its drop out of all-time high territory. And the dominance is showing some weakness at the moment. We've had a little double top here with a previous top. I still think this has some more energy in it left, especially if we're going to get a further Bitcoin bull market during Q4. So this is just some short-term stuff. This looks like it needed some time to rest. But as for the altcoins, which are pumping during this period of Bitcoin weakness, Solana reaches record high total value locked on DeFi protocols while Sol price soars. So we've seen Sol go above $200 again. I've put a poll up on Twitter. If you're not following, go and check out Twitter. Link is in the description down below. $200 Sol again. When will Solana pass its all-time high? It's pretty even here, but people are looking towards next week as opposed to today or tomorrow, as we've started to pump already on the back of more money being locked up in Sol. The main one I look at here, of course, is the Sol BTC chart, because I want to see if we're getting some strength back into this pair. And I've made a call around many of these cryptos will probably not get back past their previous all-time high against their Bitcoin value. Solana might be an exception. At the moment, it's bounced off some good support at 50%, and the next strong point that it's looking for is 0.00352. So I just want to see it get it back above that, give or take a little here, and this is going to look like we're back into the strong zone for Sol BTC, which of course will lean over into Sol USD as well. So that'll just mean that Solana will be going up faster than Bitcoin. And as a big holdings, you definitely want to see that. Well, personally, I want to see that, as Solana is one of my major holdings in the altcoin space to get myself some more Bitcoin and ETH. Another which pumped, which looked really crazy on the chart, a little insane here, is FTT. It had been showing some weakness over the last few weeks, just falling pretty heavily off its all-time high of $85. The price I was looking for was above 62 to give me some more interest back into the market as I see this peak out and then a fall. But in terms of this volume being super high, this weird illiquid bar where the market's just pumped to $75 and all the way back down, I'm still going to give it a little more time and just see if we can consolidate above this previous high. That looks like another good sign there. Now, if I've missed Sol and I've missed FTT, there of course is DOT. And DOT is another favorite here. Now, I say that loosely. I don't think I've missed anything with Sol if I'm starting this late. Of course, the returns are going to be a lot lower than back here at $20, $25. But there's probably still some upside, especially with this sort of chart as the market was waning and now picking up speed in the last 3 days of having higher highs and higher lows. But in terms of DOT, also getting very close to its previous all-time high. And that's another good looking chart. We are about 12% away from the previous all-time high at this point in time of the video. The other piece is .BTC, which is also showing some strength. It's what we're talking about in Patreon. If you guys are interested, link to Patreon is in the description down below. Main thing I'm looking at here is the strength on the 50% levels, especially on its Bitcoin chart. So to get a strong Bitcoin chart in a Bitcoin bull market is generally going to mean that you're going to have a strong price increase on the USD pair as well. So this is just adding strength to strength to strength. Rather than just being a noob and looking at the USD chart, learn to look at the BTC chart as well, and this will put you one step ahead. So the 50% levels on the rally, so here's the rally, the 50% level on the previous range as well. That's a good sign. And then we're also above the mini 50% level here on the recent rally. So this is all good signs. The major thing here is we want to hold above 0.0006. That's the good sign here for .BTC, and it still looks like it's winding up, which probably means we're going to see some more strength over into the Polkadot ecosystem as well, which I'm talking more about on the channel and of course in Patreon and on Twitter and Instagram. Go and check those out. For the Aussies wanting to buy cryptocurrency, metals, or property in their superannuation fund, go and check out New Brighton Capital. Link is in the description down below. Free 20-minute phone consultation. Get to speak with someone real. Use Pizzino as a referral code when completing your SMSF application for $150 free credit. Seen a lot of comments from you guys who have used the service and are finding some good value from that at the moment, especially as the prices tinker down a little bit. As a summary to today's video, this is not looking the best for Bitcoin, but I don't think it's over just yet. I think this will scare a lot of people out. When you get a double top like this, market slightly breaking above the previous all-time high, that's a very good double top, which is a super bearish signal. Ideally, we need to hold up above these levels and then of course the previous lows, which are around 39.40k. So 53k is the support here. Doesn't mean it'll get there, of course not. Ideally, we want to see it hold as high as it possibly can, consolidate before going higher. I think this is going to come down to a little more time in the market. I still see it as being very bullish. And in the meantime, we have Solana taking off. We have DOT looking set to take off. Obviously, parachains are coming out in about 3 weeks' time. And that's all leaning towards more bullishness in the space, which is just diversifying across other altcoins. Thanks very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you on Instagram and on Twitter. Got some Q&As on Instagram at the moment. Go and check it out. Links down below, or I'll see you on Patreon. Until next time, have more fun to get more done.